I got it.
Home for you.
Home. Well,
Welcome into Studio 125 for another episode. Beside me is Nick Boyd and Ben Rick.
Should be a fun debate.
Absolutely. Following the calls of the year.
Takes a cut, banks it. And the most. It's a goal! The Bobcats have taken a 2-1 lead.
D'Onofrio to her right. D'Onofrio will get it. D'Onofrio crosses in off the right boot. The Bobcats have a chance. They will be headed to the foot of Choco. Choco trying to make something happen, and the Bobcats will do. Yeah. Full sequence. Shot, and he's. And the Bobcats take a 3-2 lead. Madness in Hamden.
Has it. Shot from the top of the box, curling in. She scores! Courtney Choco from outside of the box. A perfect shot, and the Bobcats take a 1-0 lead.
With Noe Cabeza standing just to the left. Kingman takes the strike, and
by a score of 2-1. Looking ahead to next year, what first-year player do you think will be the most impactful for the program?
He was getting a steadily
sure that next season, but for me, 3 goals and open space. He is a threat, putting pressure on opposing teams, in my opinion, and really he's
right there. I don't think it was
in your head gave
impressed by his physical. We're trying this guy, and
sure.
Yet he could honestly 90-minute a game guy next year for this.
How they play. They're more of an offensive guy. They're in the top 3 goal scorers on Quinnipiac next season.
He's lethal. He is a lethal scoring option, and they're all going to be very good this season.
All right, now moving on to the women's side, the team lost in the finals for the MAC championship by a score of 1-0. Following the game, head coach Dave Clark had this to say about where the team goes from here.
Our disappointment is second in the league. Some of the records that they've developed along the way. I mean, They're also in the top 10 in the country in all of NCAA, and their win streak in the conference are unbeaten. Things that are going to last for a long time. So, more talent. Now it's about them. Through a similar year that Rand's going through right now, where I'm going to be babysitting, but it'll be fun.
This was and the play.
Someone for me, I mean, her stats at Quinnipiac are incredible. Less than a goal per game. She's Roman. She's a senior. Madison Mandler. She's a senior. Yeah, yes. 24 season, but I think at this team for either graduation or who knows, some of these older players could even enter this.
They're going to be the dominant number one next season, but I don't graduate students that are bringing back graduate students. I agree with you. Biggest question mark is goaltending. What will they do without Sofia Lospinosa? Always overwhelmed Mac team that are able to deflect shots, are able to make the goaltender's job easier. And you just heard him say he thinks now you think that they lost talent after the first MAC championship, and they
look at Sienna. Not even Theriault again next year, and Catherine Rogers are going to be very dominant next season. Graduate student on that roster and 2 or 3 seniors, they're retaining the majority of their lineup while adding in first years that they've recruited. I think the MAC women's soccer, a lot of people this year have said, oh, it's Fairfield, Quinnipiac. That's it. I think next year it's a different.
Game next. Number one, I think they give them a run for their money.
I just don't see how they're going to replace
Over, under for both the men's.
Dilla, and I'll be your sub today. No, can do doses in here.
The sad reality is fentanyl is being mixed into
you could get in trouble. And I've been through a lot. Anxiety, depression. Mine.
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size.
Down. With the women's basketball team. Season-ending injury. In those games, she averaged. Do you think that Grisdale will average
hand off the hammer for this one? I think once Quinnipiac gets more off our deck, he said going back average over 35 minutes.
I like the history lesson. I'm just going to light tap the over on the Grisdale minutes.
No confidence there?
It's not. Great. I think after this year, like this season, schedule are in the MAC. Like nearly 40 minutes against Harvard, and rely on her. You're going to see her in late games. Full season, she's going to hit that over.
Yeah, I'm Cabri's going to want to push her too much and just.
All right, now we're going to move over to sophomore Anna. 45.5.
Her freshman campaign and had some lull moments in there as well where she struck her from the field. But I'm going to able to 3
So they did, and shots this.
When you starting, I think it gives clean.
On to the men. For my 30. This
from beyond the arc, he's already shooting 40% from outing against Yale. He's shot 50%. First half against St. John's, that's impressive to me. I think that yes, he's going to be a little bit streaky at times, but if he can, especially once the Bobcats get into MAC play, hit around 3 to 4 threes, he can clear.
That out in that state of shock. Worry about the kind of shot selection he's taking. Second half, just hoisting those NBA level. You're not going to miss. You're going to get cold at times, but I just don't see Mabry sustaining a high.
To him and really like adjusting to him after he hit 5 in a row on him and forcing up bad shots.
I just think
raw skill, raw shooting ability, I think he can do it.
I think teams will adjust to him. They'll learn to play him tighter on. It's not Williams have had for the Bobcats, which have helped their three-point shooting. Once Mac play starts, are going to disrupt them, and he's just not going to be successful from beyond the arc.
I think he's the best shooter on the floor, and he's going to shoot, and he's going to connect.
Jaden Zimmerman scored 5 points against Yale, 13 points against WPI, and 11 points against St. John's. Do you think that Zimmerman will average over or under 10.5 points per game in his first season? Ben, start us off.
Nick, you're going to love this answer. I'm throwing the hammer to the side. I'm getting a sledgehammer, smash the over on Jaden Zimmerman points. He's been so impressive to start the season, and he's usually the first guy off the bench for Pecora. I think he's going to steal a starting spot in the lineup by mid-season, and I think this is a guy you look down the future in a year or two is going to be on an all-MAC team for the Bobcats if he chooses to stay in the MAC, because quite honest, I think he's more talented than MAC. I could see him transferring to a better school in the future, but Jaden Zimmerman has impressed me off the rip. I mean, his ability, his physical ability and play and his great shooting has impressed me. So
I'm joining you on that train. He's been the best guy off the bench for the Bobcats. I know he's only in his last 2, and he's seen a minutes increase in each game this season. I don't know if he takes a starting spot, but I think he'll at least be averaging at least 25 minutes a game by mid-season. He's got shooting. He's a great inside scorer. Oh my goodness, is he athletic, and he can jump out of the gym. He's going to clear this easily. I wouldn't be surprised if he averages 13.5 or over.
For sure.
Now that we've got the court to the ice as we discuss both the men's and women's hockey teams, stay with us.
I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. An even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Is actually quite small. But love every day.
You don't have to wear your PT gear anymore. When I got out, I didn't want to admit that there was anything wrong because I felt like a failure. And then I realized, like, there's nothing to be ashamed of. So I started talking to someone. Maybe you are fine, but if you're not, it's okay. Thank you.
If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Welcome back to Bobcat Breakdown. If you're just joining us, I'm Miranda Patorti alongside Nick Boyd and Ben Rickovicius. This past weekend, the women's ice hockey team went on a road trip across the Northeast. They defeated the Dartmouth Big Green with a score of 2-1 in overtime on Friday and shut out the Harvard Crimson 1-0 on Saturday. The team is currently 1.5 points ahead of Brown for first place in the ECAC. Should they be considered the favorites to win the ECAC then? Nick, what are your thoughts?
There is one word to describe this team, and it's wagon. They're 4-1-1 in ECAC play. I think they're absolutely the favorites in the conference, right? That first weekend of conference play doesn't really concern me too much. You know why? Because the very next weekend, they took Clarkson and St. Lawrence behind the woodshed and convincingly defeated them. They've been the best defensive team in the ECAC too, and I've liked what I've seen from them. this team might be the most talented women's ice hockey team we've seen here in the past 3 or 4 years.
Wow, Nick, we agree on this one. It's pretty crazy. I mean, looking at it again, like Colgate obviously won last year, and they have a ton of returning talent, and they've been off to a good start. But I think Quinnipiac is the favorite in the ECAC now, and I think they'll win the regular season title. Obviously, after defeating 2 ranked teams, number 5 Clarkson and number 7 St. Lawrence. They get them again later in the season on the road. That'll be a tough task, and the Colgate-Cornell weekends will also be tricky for them. But I think, obviously, a big one coming up. If they're able to capitalize there, I think they can coast to the regular season title.
Yeah, and like we said, best defensive team. What does defense win, Ben?
Championships.
It does, and I think if they can really show out and play well against Colgate, Clarkson, and St. Lawrence the rest of the way, I think this team can be a dark horse Frozen Four contender. I'm just going to put that out there. I think they've got a shot. They've got great offensive skill set. That goaltending room is fantastic, and the defense has been off the charts.
Back here in Hamden, the men's ice hockey team did not against Dartmouth on Friday and got 5-0 record overall. Is it time to hit the panic button on the men's ice hockey team? Ben, we're going to start with you. Want to press it? It's yours. Go ahead.
What do you think, Nick? Should I push it?
It's up to you, man.
It's time to panic. I mean, let's just look at the stats here, right? Coming off 2 unranked losses, offense was non-existent this weekend. And this is the first time since 2022 they were shut out at home. Now number 19 in the country. You lose to Colgate or Cornell this weekend, you're unranked. Unranked. And that's crazy for this men's ice hockey team that has such a history of playing at a high level. And really, they haven't lost. They've kind of trapped themselves right now, right? They usually, season per season, lose about 2 to 4 ECAC games a season, but now they're in danger of losing more than that for the first time since before COVID. So I am really concerned about this men's ice hockey team, and time is starting to tick. They need to start a winning streak in ECAC play. I do think they will beat Yale coming up, but I wouldn't be surprised if they split the weekend, or the year series, with Yale. I honestly think they could drop the one at home later.
Wow. Ben, pass that panic button over. I'm with you on this train. You concerned me a little during soccer, but you knew what you're talking about when it comes to hockey. I mean, just look at Zach Naffa's Twitter, right? 3-game losing streak at home. First ECAC opening loss since 2017. First loss to Dartmouth since 2018. Their first home since 2010. This is unfathomably bad for this men's ice hockey team. Their 3-5 start is the worst since 2017. You know what happened to that team? Losing record. I would not be surprised. I honestly think they will lose to Yale.
I mean, let's talk about the offense, just at the top of everything. Tyler Borgula is their leading scorer right now, and they have, I believe, 4 guys with multiple goals on the season. The rest of the guys, a few guys have 1 here and there. Offense is non-existent. They are missing the days of Colin Graff and Jacob Quillen desperately. And again, yes, those are 2 guys who got NHL contracts and deals with those guys, but again, maybe there's not NHL talent right now on this team, but still, this Bobcat team does have guys who can step up, and they're just not stepping up.
They just also don't look like a cohesive unit still. And at this point in the season, you have to know how to play with each other and how to connect and capitalize on your scoring opportunities.
100% agree.
Well, we have to take one more break here in Hamden, but when we come back, we'll be giving our final roars, so stick with us.
Everyone has a ritual, that small thing to keep us focused.
A habit we never skip, to clear our minds and elevate our performance.
But what do you do to keep your head in the game? To drown out the self-doubt and support your mental health. Because being your best isn't just about taking care of your body.
It's about taking care of your mental health. Discover the resources that you need to keep your mind focused and your mental health a priority.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back. Dad! You probably... every word.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Welcome back to Bobcat Breakdown. It's time for our final roars, and I'll start us off. Something that was part of my decision on where to go to college was school spirit. Do the students wear university-branded clothes, pack the stands at games, and participate in events across campus? I can tell you with certainty that here at Quinnipiac, those boxes are checked. It's not just the students that benefit from this, though, but the athletes as well. Over the past few years, the Bobcats have secured many championships across seasons and across sports. The student athletes of how should have a handful of students and family members in attendance, the gym nearly silent. In Burt Concourt, though, the stands are nearly full and the atmosphere is electric. This is part of why the Bobcats are so dominant at home, creating an environment that away teams aren't used to and where the Bobcats can feed off of their energy. I challenge everyone to go to a good time. Continue to support all of the amazing athletes and athletic programs that Quinnipiac has to offer, and you never know, you might catch one of those championship runs in progress.
Last time on Breakdown, I talked about the ceiling of the men's basketball team. Now, I'm going to do the same for the women's team. Now, yes, it's obviously early. Bobcats are just 2 games into their season, but both those games are wins, and head coach Trisha Fabry's team looks more in sync than ever. Last Monday, they stormed back from a halftime deficit to win a thriller against Holy Cross. They then absolutely dominated a Harvard team fresh off a win against number 25 Indiana. Points like Carson Martin after one season of better too, more poised and physical on the inside. And how about first-year point guard Gal Raviv? She's been a breath of fresh air at the one, giving the Bobcats an instinctual facilitator with a natural knack for scoring. Quinnipiac has a tough non-conference stretch coming up, but knowing Coach Fabry, this team, in my opinion, is underrated at the number 3 spot in the preseason poll.
Balancing the workload between college classes, reporting to student media, and still finding downtime can be a difficult task not only for the new members to student media, but also the veterans. It's easy to get weighed down by the schedule of covering games weekend after weekend, and sometimes it can even feel like you're telling the same story over and over again. As a sophomore last year, content, and then I took an interest in a story about a baseball player making the jump to Power 5, and things started to connect for me. Working on a long-form piece helped me process my work as it was happening. In new territory, I leaned they brought to their reporting. How can I make this stand up just afraid to watch your more than half we made the mistakes too. We'll be here if you need a helping hand along the way.
All right, one last final question.
This weekend, I'm going to say they lose it 3-1.
I say they take it 2-1.
All right, interesting takes. That's all the time we have here tonight for Bobcat Breakdown. Thanks for tuning in and spending your evening with us. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and X at Q30 Sports and check out our website at Q30TV.com. Thank you to the producers and everyone working hard behind the scenes. For Nick Boyd and Ben Rickovicius, I'm Miranda Patorti. Have a good night, Bobcats.